Good morning. Today is the 23rd of June and here we are back at Barron's Classic Car Auctions at Marchwood near Southampton. You might be able to hear in the background we've got various things going on here. We're right by the docks and things, so there are often interesting sounds of boats and other things going on. But I'm not here to look at boats, I'm here to look at some nice cars up for auction tomorrow. I will try to get this up on the same day as I'm filming this, and so generally it will be a very sort of short time before the preview and the sale. So, lot 104, a 2000 registration Jaguar S-Type. This is the 3 litre V6. It's up for auction at between £1,700 and £2,100. And I think we've peaked very soon here, viewers, because it has a beige leather interior with wood. I do like a nice beige leather interior. Now you can pick these cars up still for under £1,000. That's why last December I filmed one of these, also a 3 litre V6 on No Budget Reviews. But this one looks, most agreeable, I think. Let's have a look at the information here and see if we can get a mileage figure on here. 75,000 miles. Superb. Then we've got another lovely car here, lot 135, which helps me to find it in the online catalogue a bit quicker. An E46 BMW 2004. Now this is only a 318 Ci. This was, I think, the least powerful engine offered in the E46 Cabrio. But we do have one thing going for it straight away. Another beige leather interior, and it's a manual. Estimate on this is a bit more than the Jaguar. It's between £2,500 and £3,500. Looks pretty good to me. I can't see any rust immediately on this or anything like that. That looks pretty good. It depends on what kind of preference for summer motoring is, but that could be an option. Also got another Jaguar S-Type here. This one looks a bit sportier. We've got some nice chrome wheels on it. Lot number 106. It's a 2002 on a 51 plate S-Type Touring. It's also got a 3 litre V6 engine. It looks a bit like an R, but it's not. The R's didn't actually come out until a little bit later than this. I prefer still this one. That's more my preference, even though that's not as desirable a specification. This one's probably in better condition, and it's £3,500 to £4,500. So next is lot number 132, another BMW, very late E30 Touring. This one is a 316i. It's the Luxe model, which means you get a bit more spec. Now, I can see straight away that this car's not immaculate, and if this was immaculate, it would be up for a lot more than £1,500 to £2,500. And you've got things like a cloth interior in this and stuff like that. But ironically, it's from a Barron's BMW dealership. I can't remember where they were actually. This one does need some work, it says in the catalogue, but between £1,500 and £2,500, you know, never mind. I'm sure that will do quite well. This Jaguar, by the way, this Mark II, that's actually not going to be in the sale tomorrow. Registration paperwork to register it in this country, because it's a South African import, hasn't actually come through yet, so unfortunately we're going to have to wait for that. What I do remember from years ago is the local MG and Rover dealership to Winchester, where I grew up, was called Martin's, and this is Martin's of Winchester plates on it. So 1996 MGF, this is the VBC model, which is considered to be a bit more desirable. It's quite an early one. They only came out in 1995. The estimate on this is only £1,000 to £2,000, which I think for a one that looks pretty good. The bodywork looks alright to me. They do rust, of course. You've got to obviously check carefully on these before you buy them. But this looks okay. It's going to be sort of very original spec that these came in. I'll just check the mileage on here. It says 73,000 miles. MOT expires in September. I mean, it's not perfect or anything. Does it have any history? It's had work done on the hydrogas suspension and the head gasket. Excellent. It's also had the brakes and the clutch done over the last 18 months. I think that's going to go for the upper end, to be honest, viewers. Knowing as much as I do about Rover Group and MG Rover products, that looks pretty good. Also, with a sort of similar estimate, is this 2005 Mercedes-Benz CLS, between £1,750 and £3,000. Early CLS, I think they came out around this time. And yet another beige leather interior. It's a little bit difficult to actually get too close to video the interiors on these. I mean, I might see if this one's open. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. No, it's not open. But that's a lot of luxury for the money. An awful lot. Dark blue with beige leather interior makes it even more desirable. It's done an awful lot of miles though, 165,000, but the service history is quite good. The MOT is a little bit short, only until August, but I can't believe how inexpensive that is. 1978 Reliant Scimitar GTE 6A. Now this one could do with a bit of restoration, to be honest. I can see that the bodywork's really not that good on this. See, it's actually not made of steel anyway, it's fiberglass, so maybe that's not such a concern. You can see there's been some repairs on top of here already. Now this car's got no reserve on it, so who knows what this was going to make. Looking at the description here, it has had some work over the years, but it will require a little bit more. It's been off the road for a couple of years, this one. Now, you don't technically need an MOT to drive this on the road. I'd recommend it though. Yes, apparently somebody tried to pick it up last time and it's been re-entered into this month's auction. Now here we've got a Mini. I think this is the Sidewalk or something like that, this one. Yes, it is. It's a Mini 1 Sidewalk convertible special edition from 2008. These had all sorts of interesting sort of bits on them, leather interior, interesting side graphics, and even sort of orange bits on the steering wheel. This one's up between £2,000 and £3,000. I think this is an R52, so it's the first generation of Mini convertible, and that looks good. I've leather wheels on that. So 2002 MGTF, an early one actually. Interesting interior. It's not got the sort of standard interior. I think this is actually owned by one of the people who work at this auction house. I seem to remember it was entered for auction in the last month. It has got a little bit of rust at the front here. It's not too bad though. But it's had all the other stuff done. It's had timing belt, water pump, head gasket modification. If you just didn't really mind particularly just driving around in something that is not cosmetically perfect, it would be fine. Yeah, a little bit of rust down here in one of the usual places, but not too bad. Can't believe I've actually got a TF and an F in the same sale here, but then they're very popular classics these days. Ooh, viewers, more Jaguar action here. 1973 Jaguar E-Type Series 3 Coupe. Not massively keen on these wheels though, but I do like the colour scheme, and it's got a beige leather interior with a wooden bit on the dash. I do like a nice beige leather interior. That smells really good. I know you shouldn't buy a car just by the colour of the interior and the smell, but I'm kind of superficial sometimes with these sorts of things. Apparently it's a matching numbers car. I think the V12s might be the sort of cheapest way into E-Type ownership. It certainly used to be. This one is estimated between £35,000 and £45,000, and it's got a very interesting sort of curvature on my handbrake, hasn't it? 1981 Volkswagen Holsworth transporter, sort of Waterworth conversion. This will have the air-cooled engine in it, won't it? I think the water-cooled engine started coming in for these at about 1983. Excellent. I managed not to actually trip over things there, which is always a good thing. This is estimated between £8,000 and £10,000. So it's very original inside. Certainly looks it. Look at these sort of old vinyl seats that they used to have. And this interior is original spec. It's not been modified or anything. I'm kind of the wrong sort of side for me to just open the door, but you can see the interior. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? It's a lot cheaper than getting a bay window or a splitty, and it still gives the same kind of original air-cool feel, doesn't it? 1967 Jaguar 420. Estimate on this is between £10,000 and £14,000. These are kind of like not really improved S-Type, but an S-Type with a larger engine and a different front end. And it does look very nice in here. More beige leather interior and more wood, although that dash could do with treating, couldn't it, or something. I do like the look of these. I know they are essentially just a sort of facelift of a facelift of the Mark II, but I just like that. I'm a little bit of a sucker for things like beige leather interiors anyway, as you know, viewers, so maybe it's got something to do with it. 1981 Datsun 280 ZX. This is a right-hand drive manual example, estimated between £9,000 and £12,000. Look at the sort of typical interior of the late 70s and early 80s, this red dash. I haven't driven one of these. I've driven a 260Z, and it was pretty good. This probably's got power steering, the previous one didn't. But yeah, there are not very many of these around, are they? I think we've seen this one before, viewers. 1988 Porsche 911 Cabrio Sport. Just before the 964 generation came in. I don't know what this is still doing here. I think the estimate between £38,000 and £44,000 is quite reasonable. Yeah, I don't know why somebody wouldn't want this. I mean, for me, this probably is quite expensive for something like this, but 911s are expensive. If you look at the nice 993, a Cabrio like this, it would be about 60 grand, I think. Lot number 125, a 2005 Jaguar XKR. Look at those enormous wheels on it. Also got some little Jaguar graphics on there. I'd say this is more a cream leather interior, because it's an R. We don't quite get the same kind of ambience as you would do with a standard model, but that's it's okay, isn't it? Estimate of this is between £5,500 and £7,000. Lot number 109, 1963 Singer Vogue. I think this might have been the first year they actually marketed the Vogue. I don't remember. I know the later ones had a different roofline at the back. This is an early car with a 1.6 engine and the sort of curved screen at the back. I gather these were very, very well engineered cars, along with the very similar Humber Sepultura and Hillman Superminx. Right next to it we've got another Jaguar. This one's a 240. It's a late Mark II type, but just a bit sort of simplified. Have a look at the interior. This one's a manual. Oh, look at that slab of wood on the dash. Brilliant. This one is lot number 108. And it's estimated between £8,000 and £10,000. Current MOT working overdrive, but that sounds quite reasonable to me. I reckon probably because this isn't an actual Mark II, it's a 240, and it's got a little bit of rust down here and things like that. That probably means the estimate's a bit lower than otherwise it would be. 1974 Ford Cortina Mark III 1600L two-door automatic, or more specifically an L decor, whatever that means. This is just the most amazing slice of the 70s I think I've ever seen. Just this colour and everything. It's amazing. Now, it's an older restoration. It was respread in 1998. You can see a little bit of rust and things coming through in some places. But this isn't a perfect car, and it's not advertised as such. It's Daytona yellow. Because it's a Ford, it is a little bit expensive. It's £15,500 to £18,000. But two doors are quite rare. And inside is really good. It could do with a stereo, I think. But yeah, for some of you, you would just be feeling just nostalgic just by looking at that interior. I'm a little bit young for that, but I think that's amazing. Lot number 110, 1964 Alfa Romeo Giulia TI. Estimate between £7,000 and £9,000. If you watch all those old Italian giallo films, then you see just tons and tons of these in them. These sort of police drama type things. And yeah, this is an early one. They came out in 1962, and this is a 64. And amazingly, it's right-hand drive. It's imported from South Africa. Alfa Romeo was quite popular in South Africa for quite a number of years, and that's probably why it survived so well. It's got a miles per hour speedometer in it as well. I have driven the 105 Series Coupe version of the Giulia, not the saloon one. One of my friends has a Giulia of this generation, but he's got the I think Nuova version, which is from the 70s. But that's it's extraordinary, isn't it? This is a 1976 Triumph Stag. It's still got the original 3 litre in it. It's not got a 3.5 litre or anything else in that. This is a Mark II. It looks good. I mean, some of the paint is not perfect on this or anything like that, but it looks really good in the video. I can tell you that. This one's a manual with the overdrive. Got a luggage rack on it. I mean, you can buy these for, I don't know, £5,000, £6,000, but this is 8 to 10, and it's probably worth spending a little bit more to get an example that's as good as this one. Obviously, you can spend a lot more and get a perfect one, but it's up to what your preference is, isn't it? 2005 Ford Mustang, left-hand drive. This isn't exactly what I would normally consider to drive myself. But for somebody who likes this kind of look of the car, and the fact that this is a Shelby Super Snake clone with a manual gearbox, you might find that this is very exciting. Which certainly looks like it's in perfect condition to me. Lot number 134, I think that is. 1990 Porsche 944 Cabriolet. Relatively late for one of the 944s. I think the 968 came out late 91, early 92 from memory. The estimate on this is between £6,500 and £8,500. It's a bit better made than the old 924 that I drove under last year, but then these were more expensive cars than the 924s and a bit better developed. Yeah, interior looks very nice. I think this is Guards Red from memory, but I could be wrong about that, like I am about so many things. Gosh, it's like saying hello to an old friend. It's Ford Thunderbird in 1960. Estimate this time is between £7,000 and £9,000. Its friend is on the other side of the auction room. It's not my sort of thing, but I keep thinking of Thunderball and those kind of films where you see old Thunderbirds. They're more like that one than this one. But there must be a market for this kind of thing, and somebody wants to take this one home. 1989 Land Rover 90, lot 116. The reason I'm actually talking about this is because it's a petrol, it's a 2.5 petrol. I don't think I've ever seen one of these before. Most of them have the engines that we can't talk about, thanks to the Mayor of London. This one's estimated between 15 and 17,000 pounds. It looks really, really tidy actually. It looks really good. 5-speed gearbox in it. I mean, it's not immaculate, but that's pretty good. It's amazing. 1956 Morris, I think they call it J-type or J-van. This one's up for between £9,000 and £12,000. I keep getting the vibes off this of that van that's used in the 1966 film Dalek Invasion Earth 2150 AD, where the van is supposed to be really, really old and it's used to knock over some Daleks. There's just nothing to these whatsoever. It's only got one seat in it. It looks to me very, very, very unrestored and original. Looking at the description, it says that it's been unused for quite a long time, and I can understand that. The engine does actually start, and it is running well apparently. It's not exactly my kind of thing, but some of you, that will be, well, very exciting. 1974 Crow bumper MGB GT V8, just before they brought the rubber bumpers in. The colour in real life actually looks quite different from the photographs for some reason. Obviously just depends what sort of equipment you're using, doesn't it? So this car has spent a lot of its time on the south coast. I mean, we're still on the south coast here. The valuation certificate from the MG Owners Club dating from 2022 says it was insured for £23,000. It does look pretty good, to be honest, actually. It's got an auxiliary gauge cluster down there as well. Ironically, I'm actually driving an MGB a bit later on today. Not the V8, it's the standard 4-cylinder one. But this makes me even more excited to do that. 1971 Volkswagen Carbon Gear Cabrio with the wheels, I think, from the Porsche 911. This one's up between £28,000 and £35,000. Again, this is one of these cars that I've seen in here for a number of months now. I don't know why it's not sold. It looks really good. I mean, the engine is open on display. It looks amazing. Again, not quite my sort of thing perhaps, but somebody will like this, won't they? Right at my street is this 1978 Jaguar XJ 5.3C, otherwise known as an XJ12 Coupe. I'm getting the new Avengers vibes on this. Obviously, this isn't a broad speed like the one driven by Patrick McNee was, but it's similar in some ways. Massive 5.3 litre engine, fuel injection, as it proudly says on the back. I mean, that's going to need some work. The body work isn't nearly as good as it looks on video at all. But for between £14,000 and £18,000, I don't think you'd mind, would you? 1997 BMW 840 Ci automatic, lot number 131. Unbelievably, this was the base model of the 8 Series. I think we've had some upgraded wheels put on this. I mean, those are enormous, aren't they? But pillarless coupe design. These are bona fide classics now. They weren't for a time, but I think actually these have the right look about them, and stuff from the 1990s is really becoming quite desirable. 1990 Porsche 928 S4 automatic, estimated between £17,000 and £19,000. The mileage on this is about 128,000, but it's the sort of car that you want to do long journeys in. That's what they were designed for, really. Look at that interior. Most of them are automatic like this one. There were some rare manuals. Again, because this is a car from the 90s, prices are on the rise of these. They used to be a lot cheaper, but now they are sort of getting a bit more attention. 1964 Ford Thunderbird, sort of younger brother to its relative over there. Again, I don't know why this is still here. Let's, as we always do, open up the door and see all the kind of controls in there, air conditioning, electric windows, very, very advanced at the time. The only thing I would say is it's so utterly enormous that you'd sort of struggle to park it in some places. Lot number 130, 1955 Bentley S1. Again, we've seen this before several times. It is a shame it's still here. Estimates between 10 and 13,000. I can't believe a car like this has got such a low estimate. It's going to need some work. We've got evidence of previous repairs on this bodywork. It really needs probably respraying and doing and things like that. Probably been used as a wedding car, I'd imagine. But what an awfully large car for not much money. Lot number 114, 1934 Rolls-Royce 2025 Sports Saloon by William Arnold. Haven't heard of William Arnold before as a coach builder. I've heard of Bulliner and Marchwood and lots of others, but I haven't heard of that. Well, we do have, though, a very nice sort of beige leather interior with wood, so that's something to be excited about, isn't it? Lot number 121, 2005 Bentley Arnage Mulliner, estimate between £23,000 and £29,000. These Arnages must be gaining value because I didn't realise they were actually worth that much, but this one it's very nice. It's not the specification I would have. I'd have a lighter coloured interior for sure than this, but it looks very purposeful and mean, and it comes from a time when I think Volkswagen were trying to distance Bentley away from Rolls-Royce, which is owned by BMW, although this is very similar in terms of the body to the old Silver Seraph. Talking earlier on about the XKR, but it's on the other side of the room, but this is an XK8, number 128 in terms of the lot. States from 2004, estimate between £8,000 and £10,000. It's far more my kind of thing. Look at this cream leather interior, all the wood, quite a late one being a 4.2. I wouldn't say this is my first choice of colour, but it does look rather handsome, doesn't it? Lot number 139, 1992 Saab 900 16 valve Turbo S. I'm not so keen on this sort of aftermarket steering wheel, but classic Saab interior, just wonderful. Estimate between £4,000 and £6,000. Let's take a look at the description here. So, it's been owned for the last 16 years. Alternator, master cylinder, both masters actually. Battery, new tyres. Convertible roof is new. Coolant toilet hoses be replaced. It's for 185 horsepower, this one. Apparently it drives really well. I mean, I quite like that. I'm a bit funny about convertible roofs and things like that, but I mean, that really is quite nice, isn't it? Right, well, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video and leave a comment below, and we shall see you again soon for more incorrect information.